past few years, the MCBW Femicide Report described the consistency of the intimate partner femicides in Minnesota with the national research findings for battery lethality, specifically focusing on 4 of those factors: the victim's attempts to leave the abuser, previous threats to kill the victim, perpetrator access to firearms, and the perpetrator history of violence. Again this year, we find that the Minnesota intimate partner femicides continue to be consistent with these 4 lethality factors. And we would expect that a more complete analysis of public records and interviews with family members and friends would yield further information on other red flags. The most reliable way to assess for potential lethality is to routinely inquire of battered women when they reach out for help about the presence of any of these risk factors. Sadly, our examination is retrospective only. In 2008, an additional risk factor was prominent in a high percentage of the intimate partner femicides. That factor is domestic violence homicides connected to suicides or the threat of suicide. In 28% of the intimate partner femicide cases in 2008, the perpetrator committed suicide after killing the victim. In addition, in 19% of the cases examined, the perpetrator of the homicide indicated that they were actively thinking about or planning to commit suicide, or their actions at the time of the arrest indicated thoughts of suicide. This year, MCBW also took a closer look at the connection between battering and the impact on children. For the past 20 years, we've reported on the number of children who were murdered as a result of battering. For the past few years, we've also been tracking the number of children who've been left motherless due to a femicide. We've also been tracking the number of minor children who were present during the murder or who discovered the body. These numbers are disturbingly high. We track and report on this to illustrate one of the more devastating impacts that battering has on children. There's an entire continuum of effects. So briefly, I'll talk about the 4 consistent factors. Victims' attempts to leave the abuser. In 62% of the intimate partner femicides, the victim had either left the relationship or was attempting to leave. This is similar to previous years. Threats to kill the victim. We know that in at least 2 of the 21 intimate partner femicides, there were specific threats to kill the victim. Access to firearms. In 43% of the intimate partner femicides, were committed with firearms. Perpetrator's history of violence. In at least 8 of the 21 intimate partner femicides, or 38%, the perpetrator was known to have abused the murder victim or a prior victim, and there had either been involvement of law enforcement or applications for an order for protection. In addition, a significant number of perpetrators had a history of violent behavior or convictions for crimes other than domestic violence. While the responsibility for these murders rests solely with the perpetrators, opportunities for meaningful intervention in many of these cases were missed. We must examine the reasons why our systems failed to protect these victims and make the safety of battered women and their children Minnesota's #1 priority. So today we have a number of